Hey, what's going on? Today's daily walk. There are 3 things that fear will cause you to do. And we're going to explore the pros and cons of each of the 3 because in it by themselves isn't necessarily good or bad. So the number one thing that fear could do for you is paralyze you. Make you take no action at all or just stay the same, okay? So fear has a tendency to just keep you from taking any type of action one way or another. So you're completely paralyzed. And I remember once, I really scared my mom. I jumped out of a closet, and that's exactly what happened. She's just paralyzed. She did not move. She put her hand over her ears and did not move. So that is built into us, okay? So that is the number one thing that fear can do. Number 2 thing that fear can do. So you can let it paralyze you, or you can run from it. So this is what a lot of successful people that I've talked to, I do this. And when you run from fear, you're so afraid of what could happen that you just 10x everything in your life to make sure that it doesn't happen. So for example, if someone has a lot of fear, they're just opening a business, let's say, they will be so afraid of that business bankrupting them or financial ruins that they will put that business above anything and everything. They're just running from that fear, and it drives them, okay? So again, these aren't necessarily good or bad. There are tons of people who run so fast from fear to chase success or to chase something that they're trying to obtain, and they go and see success in that area, but fear is still making them determine what direction they're running into. And what you see a lot of the times when people use the running portion of fear, when they run from fear, is yes, they will definitely avoid what they're fearful of, but a lot of other areas of their life will cave in. Okay, so for me, when I opened my first gym, I was scared deathless of it failing. So that I worked the gym 7 days a week. I missed, funerals. I missed birthdays. I missed everything because I was running from that fear. Okay, so fear had a good cause. It had a very motivating cause in this circumstance, but it also deprived me from a lot of other areas in life because I was running in the opposite direction of that fear. The third thing that fear can do for you is it can make you confront it. You're in the ring and it makes you confront it. That, my friends, that is the toughest part of fear or getting over fear. Because when you're running from fear, it is a motivator. Okay, I'm afraid every time I do a contest prep, I'm afraid I'm going to lose. So I really 10x the contest prep. But when you really confront fear, so you don't allow it to paralyze you, you don't run from it, you're aware of it, but you don't run from it necessarily, but you confront it, that's when you start to get deep, and that's when you start to overcome it. That's the only thing that can overcome fear. So you can use fear as a motivator and run from it. Like I say, I do that. I probably continue to do that in certain realms of life. But when you confront it, not only do you learn a lot more about yourself, but you also become more self-actualized. And fear just does not have the power over you that it does in those other 2 scenarios. And again, confronting it, you got to put your ego aside. The pride has to come down, be put aside. And it's going to take you to some uncomfortable places. The last thing that fear wants to do is get in the boxing ring and be confronted, okay? It wants to make you run. It wants to paralyze you. It doesn't want to be confronted. Think of any bully. Most bullies, people just run from, or they just get paralyzed and get the heck beat out of them, okay? But a lot of times when you confront that bully, when you come back and you say, not today, and you stand up to him, a lot of times the bully really doesn't exist. The bully's like a small little kid inside. And that's what sometimes happens when we really dive down into, okay, what am I really afraid of? The fear becomes from like this to nothing, to almost like non-existent. Like, wait a minute, hold on. I'm really afraid of this? If I would have confronted my fear back when I opened up the gyms and I really confronted it, what I was afraid of was almost an impossibility. It almost was like not even possible to happen. The problem is, I never came to that self-actualization. I never came to that realization because I was too busy running from the fear, chasing success, because that was the opposite of what I was fearful of. So a lot of times, whatever you're fearful of, you'll go in the opposite direction. Okay, so if you're fearful of getting hurt in a relationship, you'll move from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the next. Okay, but you'll find that when you confront what is it that I'm really afraid of, you'll find like, okay, I was hurt real bad once. Well, aren't we all? And it diminishes that fear. And you're like, you know what? I'm more self-actualized now. I'm more aware now. The chances of that happening again, what I'm actually afraid of, the chances of that happening again is like 1 out of 10 million. All right. So that would be kind of my challenge, or what I'd put out to you. Are you letting fear paralyze you? You're not taking any action. You got an opportunity right in front of you, a golden opportunity, but you're just paralyzed. Your analysis paralysis. You're just going to think about it for the next 50 years. Okay, that's fear paralyzing you. Second, are you seizing that opportunity, but you're so fearful of failure that you're just getting rid of everything in your life and you're going in the opposite direction of that fear, but with everything you have. So now other things in your life might be falling apart. Or are you asking yourself and looking in the mirror and saying, what exactly am I afraid of? Which will be easy to define, by the way. And then why? Why am I afraid of this? Where is the evidence? What am I really putting in perspective? So now you're standing up to the fear, and you're going to step back and say, like, you know what? What I'm afraid of is I have a better chance of getting hit by lightning. But we're not afraid of that. So where your focus goes, the energy flows. And when you focus on confronting those fears, yes, it will be uncomfortable. Yes, it will take you to places maybe you don't want to go temporarily. But a lot of times, for healing to happen, you got to rip the Band-Aid off. Okay, you got to rip the Band-Aid off, put the sutures in. It's painful, but then it heals, and we grow, and we really confront and minimize that fear, or we realize that fear is just non-existent. Rock and roll. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you want to hear a little bit more about fear and how it can even drive entrepreneurialism, check out our podcast, the Macro Millionaire Podcast. We interviewed CEO of Tiger Fitness, Mark Lobliner, and he used fear to really, really motivate him. And we had a decent discussion on this. And I think now he's confronted a lot of the fears and has become a really, really self-actualized person. But he talks about how earlier on in his career, he used fear to kind of drive business. And then some other areas of the life, just like what I was talking about, kind of didn't do so great. And he confronted the fear, and now he's living more of a macro millionaire lifestyle, like a holistically growing lifestyle. So you guys have a great day. Hopefully you tune in, and we'll see you then.